There, I think I wanted this music to welcome Sarbjeet Johal because this music was actually created by Music LLM, and I wanted it to be a mixture of both like Asian traditional and Western music. So Sarbjeet, welcome to the Talking Headless show, and so happy to have you. And thank you for joining a little earlier. So you heard part of what Teresia was talking about, right? So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and let our audience know what drives you, how you have achieved such a position of a well-known technology analyst.
Thanks, Shashi. Appreciate it. Actually, I was able to listen to Teresia's part as well. Yeah, she gave, I think, great insights about like if when somebody fresh enters this field and how do they feel and what they sort of situation they get into and how they grapple with the situation and pick the tools and bond with the existing AR folks from other companies and they learn that way, right? So yeah, my brief introduction is I've been in tech for last 30 years or so. I've been living in Bay Area, Silicon Valley for since '94. So yeah, I mean I live in the trenches of the tech, if you will. And I have done a lot of development, software development. As I started as a programmer, did, did did write a lot of code, built few systems at Visa, McDonald's, Commerce One, and then PeopleSoft. And then after that, I joined EMC. Then from EMC, I went to VMware. It was the same tenure, 4 years or so. Then Rackspace, and then Oracle again. And I've been doing independent work for last about 8 years or so, 8 9 years. In the beginning, I invested money into an incubator, and which has taken 150 startups or so through the program so far. But I tapered off my engagement with that incubator over the years, and now I work as a industry analyst. Actually, this was the label folks gave me. I wanted to be a consultant, go to market consultant, and people started calling me that you're an analyst. So the vendors and they started inviting me to events, and here we go. So I can tell you a little later about my brief journey, and actually journey and brief, and it's a brief journey as well. Actually, I'm not a traditional like um, an analyst from get go. I come from practitioner background, so yeah, that's a quick introduction.
Good. So here's another career changer. So did you like train in software or what's your background? Because I'm very interested. I think the future is going to be people changing their careers midway quite often. So what did you graduate in and how did you move from software or move into software?
Yeah, actually, my life so far has been like of changes. Like I start doing something and then I'm end up doing something else. So it's just like many other success startups, and many other
Yep.
companies, like they launch a product and then they end up doing something else. So yeah, I'm economics major actually, a math bachelor's in mathematics and economics, and then master's in economics, and I was doing my PhD in economics, so focus on econometrics when I moved to US, and I never finished my PhD. So and then I fell into software here. I was doing some work in India when I was there, in early part of 94, 93 also. I was working with a think tank doing data analysis and doing research on a socioeconomic sort of phenomenons, if you will, like pre-program studies and post-program studies for Indian government as well as three state governments in India. So I was very familiar with the research part, like what it takes, primary data, secondary data, how you interview people, and then the policymakers on one side and the industry on other. All the stakeholders need to be accounted for when you're doing a good, decent quality of research, I will say. And then during that research, I was doing data crunching. I was coding as well. It was DBase, We were writing stuff in WordStar. I don't know.
Oh, wow. I
You may
remember
not.
those things. Yes.
So FoxPro DBase, I did some Pascal as well, Fortran for some very deeper analysis there on data side. And we used to have like these malnutritioned PCs, and we thought they were the best machines ever, right? So I did that. I got the data from tapes from Punjab government or central government of India, and people usually don't believe that we had data on tape, and then we will take on a floppy bunch of floppy
Probably
drives.
even till 10 years ago.
That was in 91, 92. So I was in college, and I was studying and doing the work at the same time. So yeah, actually, I got the taste of programming in the master's degree. As there was a computer lab and took evening course. Kind of fell in love with it, but still, economics was my passion. And then when I came to US, I got a job as a programmer in Chicago, working for McDonald's. And yeah, actually, after that, I still had this bug in my mind that I wanted to finish my PhD, but I didn't, because the dot com happened. And when I moved to Bay Area, I joined Visa, and other companies, headhunters will call you left and right. It was in the 96, 97 timeframe, 98, and they will throw money at you, like, okay, here we'll double your salary, this, that. And then I ended up joining a company called Commerce One, and it happened to be one of the best IPOs of the dot-com days. And yeah, it was great tenure. It was one of the best tenures in my career. I learned a lot. A company went belly up like after the dot-com. We competed with Ariba. People who are industry veterans, they know this name pretty well, because some people know it from fun side. Some people know it from the pain side. A lot of people made a lot of money from our stock, and a lot of people lost a lot of money. So our stock
That's
went from $21 to $999 within a span of like 2.5 years or so. It was crazy days. So yeah, it's
so
like,
let's take it to today. You're a successful analyst. How do you build your personal brand? What is it that makes companies seek you, to call you to events and ask you to cover them? Uh, Mainly, I mean, for to people who are live here now, and for, I mean, this is a show of both analyst relations and analysts. So, what has been some successes? What are some tips? I know I'm throwing a lot at you, but
yeah, yeah,
let's
no,
start
that's
with at
okay.
least personal brand first.
Yeah, the personal brand actually, it happened sort of naturally. I have a natural tendency of sharing what I'm doing, even before the internet was very hard thing. So like sharing all the coding tips and whatnot back then. But then now actually we have the social media sites for professionals. That's LinkedIn and Twitter. I started with the Twitter actually. I used
Yeah.
to follow people actually. If some listeners want some advice, um, getting started, I think it's easy. So you start listening to the people who are doing that work, who are ahead of you by 4, 5, 10 years, right? And then you start interacting with them by replying to their tweets and or LinkedIn posts, right? So LinkedIn and Twitter, I think there are two main sort of forums for business people, and especially in technology, right? So start I started commenting on the posts, and with my, you know like re- my frame of reference from my experience, because I had done a lot of hands-on work in implementations and like 10 plus countries, and knowing different cultures and the systems thinking, and always learning, reading, learning, and that actually, I think, people started liking my comments, and then I said, okay, maybe I can do my own posts, my own tweets. And then that's how I started. And then I was following some of the heavy hitters like Gary Vee. He's very prolific talker, and he has a lot of followers on Twitter, for example. So some of the tips, like, hey, like, you always be give your best, right, to the to the masses, and be open, be yourself. I mean, these are the tips I got, and then that's what I did, and that's what I do. And I have some rules. I never like a post without reading it. I never retweet without reading the whole thing. When I comment, I read the whole thing and then comment. I just don't comment just for the sake of commenting. So it takes a lot of time from my day, actually, even today. That's what it takes. I think it takes a lot of. I usually say that the time is the currency of relationships, and branding is all about relationships, and you're building relationships with a lot of people. Some people you know in person, some don't. Some they know you, but you don't know them. So you give your time to them, you work on their behalf, you try to serve them, you try to give them tips, and share my challenges as well, like, okay, hey, I'm struggling with this, and I wish this thing was that way, things like that. So that sort of caught on, and then my analyst relations kind of journey, as I said earlier, I wanted to be wanted to do like more like consulting. So I wanted to launch that business, but then these vendors, because I was synthesizing a lot of information from different venues. Okay, before I answer your question, let me share my philosophy with you a little bit.
Okay.
I
So,
I think I think when the change happens under our nose, we don't notice it, right? So we tend to be immune to it, right? For example, if somebody in our household, I mean, I usually give that example, and somebody in our household is losing weight, we don't notice it. But if a guest comes in, uncle, aunt, or cousins, they say, hey, you have lost some weight, and they notice that. They notice the change. So we notice change when we look from outside, a lot more than when we are in it, inside something. So I think I because I was a practitioner, number one, and also because I think like a more than just tech side, if you will. I think about economics of systems. I think about cross disciplinary sort of learning. I think how cars are built, how movies are made, and how we make software. I mean, they're different. They are made differently, right? So um, I, then I try to sort of adapt some of that thinking. Like, why can't we do certain things in software just like the movies are made, or bring the teams together and then they dismantle and they go away, stuff like that. Or the way the cars are made, some softwares, we used to make the software like the cars are made, so like waterfall models, and now over the years we have changed it. So long story short, I synthesized a lot of stuff, and I think that people appreciate that. People come from different backgrounds. All of us are more than what we do, you know
yep.
we can have a music passion, and you can bring that kind of thinking into it, how music is made, and how that industry work, what their business model is. They're singers, they're producers, and all that stuff in the music industry. And same way, there we have the VCs, we have wars, we have so many different actors in this in our high tech, what we call software stacks and hardware stacks, right? SIs, and then try to find out what role they play, how the whole sort of big enchilada is moving, what are the convergence factors, like what's converging, right? So my philosophy is to understand the converging factors, and then focus on like two or three areas. I have focused on cloud a lot in the last like 15 years or so, because I happen to work with the cloud companies like Rackspace, VMware, or I have worked on Oracle Cloud as well. And then we competed fiercely with AWS from other places. So, and now I work with Google Cloud and all these players, in a different capacity, right? So your job, I think, is to find the big strands, and then say, okay, what impact that would have in a year from now, 2 years from now. Actually, in few things I have learned from my tenure and investing, when I invested money into the incubator, in sort of wasted some time and money as well there, is that when you are building something, you are building, when you start building, you should know where the technology will be in a year to 18 months or so. If you're building for the technology, which is with capability of technology today, you are actually doing a big disservice to yourself, because technology will be better in 6 months, in 12 months, and 18 months. We know that it progresses like, you know, the Moore's law and everything. We improve
So,
high tech pretty fast. So
that's great advice. Like you're asking people, like, look at today, but predict what is going to be the future in a few months. Now, since we have our audience is mixed with analysts and analyst relations, like, what has changed in the sphere of analyst engagement? What are you seeing? Are there any trends you're seeing where, I mean, obviously this community comes together quite a bit. There's a lot of interaction between analyst relations and technology analysts. Talk about some trends you're seeing. I think I feel there is more co-optation than competition in this area. What do you think?
yeah, actually, there's more cooperation. Like I work with people from IDC. I collaborate with people from a few people from Gartner. I'm independent. Like I'm I run a small company, and there are quite a few independents as well as boutique shops. So I mean, everybody plays a different role. This is how I see it. Like, okay, the way the analyst firms were formed, IDC, Forrester, and Gartner, those top three, right? Way back in maybe late 70s or early 80s. Actually, I have heard the stories from the people who started these companies. Like, hey, how did they build this, and what was the idea, and all that stuff. So at that back then, there was no internet, right? So to get the product information, you needed to read some publications, right? So they used to do publications. They started with just lists of vendors, then the publications of the products, and then they did product reviews. And the internet was just a baby in 94, 95, 96 till 2000. Internet was still not, internet what we know today. So in the last about 20 years or so, 20, 24 years, 25 years or so, internet has gone to the sort of next level after next level. The amount of information we can get from the internet is huge. So the need to know what products a company has, it has gone down. Like you can easily get that information. You can easily get how to do something. Watch a YouTube video. You can easily get what and how and where, but you don't know why, right? So the why part is the hard part. And your question was how it's changing. So I think that the personally, I believe, like, so I may end up pissing some people off or making them mad. If you're focusing on one like little part of the system, right, that is valuable to maybe very few people. But if you're thinking about the system as whole, and you're looking at multiple parts of the system, for example, like even at high level, if somebody is working on just storage, they're storage analysts, right? So, and they're at big companies, you can find like 20 people working on storage, and there's tape, there's all this like block storage, there's all kind of different storage, arrays and different mechanisms, right? Protocols and whatnot. And some people just work on like, little things, and then I think they miss the big picture. I think in rise of the independent analysts is due to the fact that what and how is already out there, why we are doing this. I think that if we can tie these things together, the economics of systems, the the talent availability for these things. I deeply think about these things, right? I talk about the practitioner economics as well. So um, you have to look at all the ingredients for building software and operating it, and then say, okay, who is doing what and how the things are moving. So I think giving that information to the buyers, that sort of knowledge, if you will, like what vendors they should pick, what they should look for in a vendor, right? Is it only R&D budget, or is it like what are the top, let's say, 5 factors they should look for, and also to the vendors how they should entice the practitioners to their brand, to their platforms. So I think that if you can provide that value, you will be a good analyst, I think.
Great. So I think the message that I'm reading is that when you talk to technology analysts, provide the why. That's much more important than the what and how, right? So that's a great message. Sarbjeet, we could go on talking for a very long time, but this was really great listening to your perspectives, your journey, and some of the ways that you think. So I'm really happy and thankful that you came to this segment. And thank you very much. And we look forward to our paths crossing again.
Thanks, Shashi. Thanks for having me, and good luck to you on your show. And I know this is the second episode. I'm glad to be part of it, and I look forward to further discussions on and off camera. Thank you. Thanks to your
Thanks,
listeners as well.
Abhi. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.